Well, hello there. This is Shane from Shane's Books and Review. I hope that you are having a great day today. It is so good to be where I can sit down and record here again instead of the vehicle. Don't know about the timing of things that might come out after this. I don't know. What are we going to be talking about today? An Orson Scott Card book, Ender's Shadow. So this is the first one in the Shadow series, and it was narrated by Scott Brick, Gabriella DeCoeur, and a whole lot of others. It's got a lot of my favorite narrators in it. So why would this be called Ender's Shadow, and what is the Shadow series? Well, as the books were released originally, you had the original series, which was about Ender, and technically speaking, the first book was wrote for the second book, simply because of the why should we care about this story phenomenon, right? So first series follows Ender. The second series does follow the same footsteps as Ender, but it's almost like a backfill, if that makes sense, maybe? What it is Bean in the first book. You know, he becomes a pivotal character for Ender. We see a kid that's in Ender's game, very sure of himself, very capable, but we don't know why. You know, is it just that he's another one of those super talented kids that they had found and plucked for battle school? Or is it that this kid is really good at what he does? And so Ender's Shadow follows Bean's story to getting to battle school, and then some of the things that he did at battle school and his own personal issue. And this story is so rife with sci-fi. Some of it is absolutely not believable until you get to the end. So it's interesting. Now, I'm going to go ahead and kind of give the rating up front, because just in case you just want to check it out without hearing a bunch of gibbly gunk from myself about it. Even now, going back and listening to it again, it was such a joy to get through. And mainly because there's inner dialogue that we talked about on Ender's Game, but we find out all these little things that we didn't know before. So it's such an enrichment to the original book. It's a good standby. This is a good compendium to the original book. It fills in things that weren't necessarily, I feel, left out of the first one, because the information that is there wouldn't really be pertinent to that first story. But it is pertinent to that story as we develop more of the characters in this for that first story. Now, as we go through the Shadow series, some of the things that are happening in the Shadow series will directly line up to the things that happened in the first series. Just such a great read, especially if you've read the first one. I kind of wish I could go back in time and not have read any of them, and then picked up Ender's Game and read that, and then read this one right after it, because the two of those together are such a powerhouse. I mean, for as far as sci-fi goes, whenever it ticks the little boxes of space, yes. Military, drama, sci-fi, yes. For character development, for myself personally, things that I like to see, people strive to become better versions of themselves. The author is not necessarily taking the easy road, and the characters either congealing into something bigger or realizing that they can be something bigger, and then achieving something that would seem almost impossible from the reader standpoint, because they haven't seen the whole story yet. So does it check all these boxes? Yes. So it fits under my category for excellent sci-fi read. I mean, granted, it is about children, but the subject matter is so much more than that. There's points and times where if you take the material that you read there and apply it to everyday life, there's lessons in it that you can pick up and learn. As far as like story notes and things that happen in this book, there's so much. Ender goes through his little challenges. He sets up a bully to be fell. He makes some people very angry, but for the most part, he ends up gaining respect from his peers because of his ability to just simply accept them for who they are, help them get past what they think might be a weak point, or show them this is a better way of going about something. And he does it all in a way of which is not infuriating. Bean, on the other hand, is an absolutely infuriating little crap. But that's part of the reason why I like him. Because he's so self-confident and so self-aware and so intelligent in his own mind that he's very internalized. He's not very wordy whenever it comes to other people, and actually tries to avoid having these types of conversations with people that would draw them in and would have him wasting his own intellectual prowess on just talking to them. I mean, that's not really what was said, but you can kind of get the feeling that's the type of adult he would be. So there's that. And he has his own issues that whenever he was on Earth. There was a couple of bullies. He was a homeless child that lived out on the streets, and he ends up getting picked up by this Sister Carlotta, and he ends up getting schooling, and he's always trying to sandbag and play dumb, but everybody around him is like, no, we know better than that. And so he ends up acing things and gets into battle school quite easily because of that. And fast forward a little bit, there's a couple of situations where some of these people that have been bullies or mean or whatever, Bean has a moment where he stands up for the rest of battle school and sets a precedent. But he really gets up to some buggery in here. So he'll climb through air vents, he'll find out things that he's not supposed to know, and then of course, adults that are giving guidance, they're not in the usual teacher-student role, but it's kind of funny to see how they, as commanders, are always trying to outwit and outsmart these kids, but they have to second-guess themselves so much because they know they're not the same caliber as the children. So they have to have these powwows where they get together and discuss, yes, let's give them this information, but not that information. Let's let them know this, or see what they get to if we do that. And so it's a big game of cat and mouse in between the teachers wanting the kids to know stuff or not know stuff, and the kids figuring it out anyway. So the first thing is, as far as if it's worth your time, efforts, and energies, is it fits all the tick boxes. It's an excellent read. The second thing is there's so much personality in the book that you're going to read if you check this out. Now, would you need to read Ender's Game first to read this book? Interestingly enough, I don't think you would. I really don't, but it might cause you to think differently about the main character of Ender's Game being, of course, Ender Wiggin, but maybe not so much in a negative light, but after you read this one, if you read the first one, you might feel like it's lackluster. I really feel that Orson Scott Card had kind of hit his stride at this point. It's so good because it doesn't ignore the fact that Bean is just as important to the story as Ender was. And I'm wondering how many other authors, if they had done something in the way of which Orson Scott Card did, if they would have forgotten that they were writing a completely different story that happened to just tie into the original one, and to not make it about the original characters all over again. So for that's a very unique scenario, and Scraps, if you would you splash a word up here? But anyway, so long of it all is, I would highly recommend. It's excellent, it's well-rounded, it fits into the original really, really well. And with the narrations and the cast and the people that are in it, they just do a wonderful job of bringing the book to life. These are the most interesting comments that we have found. I still can't believe that even to this day, I'm still getting private notifications and private messages from people about that book that I reviewed from Chuck Palahniuk. I mean, really, stop being trolls. So for the people that had watched those two videos, because I made one and I have blocked the comments on that one altogether because I didn't expect so many, well, as a first grader would say, so many poo-poo heads to get a hold of it and then start flaming and trying to provoke bad reactions. And I had made the promise of us staying mostly clean and friendly and good to one another and trying to accumulate a good community so that we can share these things, thoughts and ideas. Feel free anytime, leave me a comment. It might take me a day or two, or sometimes even if things are super busy, a week or two, but I will read it and I will more than likely respond to it as well. So I know that's kind of a bit of a somber note, but I wanted to make sure I put that out there because that other video started to get more traction again, and then there was more comments. So I'm just letting those people know, yes, you have been shadow blocked. No, you will never leave a comment on the channel ever again. And congratulations for just not being good. Shame on you, seriously. Because the whole point of that book was to show the absurdity of those things. It wasn't necessarily to show that this is good and this is good. If you actually read it, there's a few big messages in that book that are affirmative. I was just afraid that people like you that got shadow banned, I was just afraid that people like you that got shadow banned, and not grouping you together with ones with mental health issues that did shootings, that those two groups would take it completely the wrong way and miss the point. And you did, so congratulations. But you get no reward. Beyond that, though, sorry, but I mean, it was a thing that became more and more present until I did something to change the video's tags, and then it started to fall off. Good. I love you guys. I love you gals. Thank you so much for watching. If you've listened to everything that Scraps didn't cut out, I'm talking to you. Then, thank you so very much. It means the world to me. If you think that we did something good in this, or that we've done something good over the course of time, feel free to give this video a like, share it, subscribe. You know the ring. You know the deal. ring the bells, all that kind of stuff. This is Shane with Shane's Reviews. I hope that you've had a good week. I hope that you, wherever you are and wherever we are in this weird time with this weird virus that shall not be named, much like Voldemort, then I hope that you're being safe and healthy and that you continue to be so. Beyond that, I'm not sure which video YouTube might bring in over here, but if you pick one of those, I will see you in the next video. Peace.